There is no better way to open up this video than by saying, there was tampering in Milan. I think we can fully start to believe in the idea that this Team USA group chat at the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympic Games may have just shaken up the NHL permanently. You talk about LeBron's NBA becoming the status quo for NHL players, demanding out, wanting to leave their teams because they're disappointed with the lack of success. Gone are the days where we see great players on bad teams because the players just like to stick it out with the teams that took a chance on them and gave them 8-year contracts. Now, we have a new generation. Started by Matthew Tkachuk, insinuated and perpetuated by Quinn Hughes, and that could potentially bleed into some of the other names on this team. Obviously, Dylan Larkin. We already spoke yesterday about whether or not Quinn had maybe a part in Dylan Larkin asking out of Detroit. But now, we're talking about Connor Hellebuyck of the Winnipeg Jets. Take a look at this video posted by the Daily Faceoff Twitter account 2 days ago. It talks about how there are more suitors emerging in the Dylan Larkin sweepstakes, and there's an entire segment on this DFO rundown program with Irfan Gaffar and David Pagnotta that talks about this. But they also talk about Connor Hellebuyck and the latest on the Winnipeg Jets starting netminder. We're going to go out there and read this. Thanks to Canucks News Summaries, they went out there and posted the summary of the Daily Faceoff episode. Take a look at this. Connor Hellebuyck news. Irfan Gaffar has heard the same rumor as others that Connor Hellebuyck has apparently requested a trade. Gaffar, though, is unfortunately unable to confirm. The Panthers are interested in Hellebuyck's potential availability. They say on the DFO program that Anton Lundell would have to be a part of a package, as well as the 9th overall pick. A few other teams are poking around on the Hellebuyck trade front as well. The Jets are looking for a second-line center. And if Connor Hellebuyck has requested a trade, the question is, will other Winnipeg Jets follow suit? My guy, there was tampering in Milan. You can't convince me otherwise. This USA team with Quinn Hughes and Matthew Tkachuk, with Brady Tkachuk and Austin Matthews already being bundled up in rumors as to whether or not they could ask out, with Jack Eichel on this team, a guy that already was able to demand out of Buffalo. Zach Werenski's been in rumors of Columbus as well. I mean, almost everybody on this team has been a part of significant trade rumors one way or another, and Dylan Larkin is the latest to have officially confirmed that status. JT Miller. Did he want out of Vancouver? I don't think so. Maybe not at least until the very end, but he's also in here too. He was one of the captains of their NHL teams that found themselves on this Olympic squad. Connor Hellebuyck, though, is in a pretty interesting spot because he is a year removed from literally winning the NHL's MVP award. Like, he was a Hart winner, 3-time Vezina winner. Last year, he had a .925 save percentage, one of the best goaltending performances we have seen ever when you compare his save percentage to the status of the NHL's general save percentage. Then he kind of fumbled in the playoffs, 8.66 in 13 games played. And then he kind of fumbled this year, period. 8.95 save percentage in 57 games played. The Winnipeg Jets were not great. They didn't qualify for the playoffs. Connor Hellebuyck had a 9.56 in the Olympics, though, plus a 1.18 goals against average in 5 games played, not losing a single contest for Team USA. I think it's fair to say Connor Hellebuyck put on a showcase to remember for Team USA at the Olympics, and he was the reason why they ultimately won that gold medal game versus Team Canada in overtime. But if it's gotten to a point now where Hellebuyck's looking at this Winnipeg Jets team and saying, man, we kind of suck now, is there a possibility that he could actually ask out? Hellebuyck is making $8.5 million till the end of 2031, so there are a number of years remaining on that contract, 5 to be exact. And checking up here on Puckpedia, it turns out he does have full no-move clause protection. So if he were to get traded, you know he would have to approve. The Florida Panthers, though, seems like they could be a team interested in Hellebuyck, and that's funny because we have already made videos talking about the idea of Hellebuyck going over to Florida because guess what? Their starting goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky, this guy could be on his way out too. His contract expires at the end of this season, and for all the crap that we as NHL fans gave Sergei Bobrovsky for making so much money for so many years, I think he kind of vindicated that with putting up back-to-back Stanley Cup Final victories and triple back-to-back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals appearances. Say what you want about Sergei Bobrovsky in the opening days of his Florida Panthers tenure, but he definitely pulled it together in the last few years. This season, however, .877 save percentage in 52 games. He sucked. Now, to be fair, Florida also was not great. They were able to finish low enough in the NHL standings to get the 9th overall pick. A lot of that had to do with the Matthew Tkachuk injury, which saw him injured for most of the year before the Olympics, and then you have Barkov, who was out the entire year. The Florida Panthers were a shell of their former selves, and I think common consensus says that no matter who the starting goaltender is in Florida, this Panthers team is good enough to not finish 9th last in the NHL like they did this most previous season. This draft pick is going to help them out. They could potentially send over a pretty big package to acquire a guy like Dylan Larkin or even a Connor Hellebuyck. And when you think about trade returns, if the Winnipeg Jets really do want a center back, guess what? The Panthers can afford to give up on Anton Lundell because they already won 2 Stanley freaking Cups. They don't care about this guy anymore. Why should they? They're getting Barkov back. You can essentially cut and paste the same Florida Panthers season, except replace Bobrovsky with Connor Hellebuyck and replace Lundell with Alexander Barkov. That's an upgrade. Anton Lundell is 24 years old, very strong player down the middle, 44 points in 64 games played this most recent season. Let's do the math on that. 44 divvy 64 times 82, that's on pace for a 56-point campaign. He's been pretty consistent throughout the course of his NHL career, producing in the playoffs, producing in the regular season, producing at the World Championships and the Olympics, plus the idea of Anton Lundell going over to a franchise that also happens to have Brad Lambert chilling in the AHL. I do think that these guys could potentially be a very good connection piece for the long-term future of the Winnipeg Jets. That is assuming they're both willing to stick around. I don't know, that fourth period report said that if Connor Hellebuyck requests a trade, other Jets might actually be interested in asking out too. I'm thinking about Kyle Connor, a guy who also happened to have been on that Team USA squad. He wasn't used as much as some of these other guys because unfortunately they didn't think it would be worth their time to play him. But Kyle Connor could potentially be interested in moving out as well. I'd say that for the Winnipeg Jets, though, the idea of Anton Lundell coming over is quite intriguing. We know that Finns have had success in Winnipeg in the past, and with Brad Lambert in the system, I'd say that he's a really good one, poised for a breakout at some point. I know his numbers right now may not seem all too positive, but Lambert's so good, man. Give him a partner that he can actually vibe with and communicate with on the ice. There could be some pretty good things going on if Anton Lundell goes over, but either way, with this idea in mind, it's not confirmed that Connor Hellebuyck has requested a trade, but the idea has been brought up and mentioned throughout various parts of social media. So, with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Connor Hellebuyck supposed trade request and whether or not the Florida Panthers make sense as a destination? Anton Lundell, the 9th overall pick, maybe even the signing rights to Sergei Bobrovsky if Winnipeg really needs a goaltender to come in relief. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on and bye.